Good evening. This is Nick Inman from VolumeProfileTrader.com on Thursday, December 22nd, and I'm just going to knock out a few names really quick. We've been saying be long the market, stay long, and we continue to be rewarded for staying long the market. We were rewarded for buying on Tuesday morning. We were rewarded for buying on Wednesday on the weakness, and we continue to see a breakout to the upside. We had a point of control shift today, 2 times actually, for the month of December. It was at 12.55, and then it shifted to this 12.44, 12.42 area where price was balancing at those levels. And when this point of control shifted, I don't remember what hour it happened, but notice we got one close below that level, and from then on we moved higher. Now we have a point of control shift again. We've only closed 1 hour below that level so far, and we've traded higher since. This market is telling you to stay long, and basically, look into protecting your positions, maybe selling some upside calls. I know I sold some upside calls in SPY today, the 125 calls, and the reason why was because I got 90 cents or so in premium, and the premium, I thought basically it would be as if I'm selling towards 1260 or 126 on the SPY, which is at the very top of this range. And I figure, if the market's above 12, we'll take 1250 on the SPY. I guess I'll bring that up to make it easier. On the SPY, sold the 125s. We're staying above those levels, and I received 90 cents for them, so I would really be selling at this price up here. And I said, well, if I'm getting that type of return in one day, 90 cents, and basically if price doesn't stay above 125, which right at these recent highs, at least I collect some premium, 90 cents, and I lower my cost not my cost basis, but I lock in. It's as if my cost basis is another 90 cents lower than where it's currently trading, or where my profit margin is right now. And it's a good feeling. And if I get called away on these calls, I'm okay with it, because I'm still involved in the market with other names to the long side, and it allows me to, lock in some gains. It hedges some of my gains, so if the market, for example, doesn't close above 125, we may see a little more downside, and it's just something to be aware of. And I want to protect myself going into Christmas weekend with that mindset, protecting some gains. We are at the top of the range, and despite the fact that we think, let me draw the pattern that we're looking at. If we think this thing is going to break out of these levels, that's our thesis. We're going out to the upside, but we are at the top of the range, and any close below this point of control level, for example, for tomorrow, in my opinion, would be, you would have to take a pause and not necessarily, basically really look in some profits, just in case. What if this is one big fake out and we continue to the downside? It could happen, and it's something to be aware of. But I just think it's important to be protecting your profits in this situation. So let me just run through the rest. The Dow looks good. We definitely cleared above the point of control today. Now we're just at the top of the range for the month of December, and that's all. That's our resistance right now. And if we get past that, we'll break out to the upside. NASDAQ, you can see we've had some downtrend resistance. We, poked our head above overnight yesterday on the NASDAQ, and basically came down, tested. We got a point of control here. Nice opportunity to get long some NASDAQ names, and you're rewarded today with a nice push higher. We would like to see this thing push up and go test 2300 to 2325 or so. So let's just go through some of those names that, in the NASDAQ. And Apple, this was one of the names that I sold the 400 calls against some of my shares. And the reason why was because, composite point of control and, this 400 level, it's a psychological level. Maybe people, basically, I thought the satisfaction from selling the 400 call is much more appealing than basically going naked into the weekend without collecting some extra premium or whatever the case may be. So I like that idea. But notice, yesterday we bounced off the point of control for the month, and those were the lows. We continue to see follow through today. December highs, so that's great, but just be aware we are at the top end of the range, and if this thing doesn't break out, then we'll be happy that we took at least some profits off the table. So Intel, I think we originally got long this name on this bounce here. It gave us a pullback, and we've had more opportunities to scale in at better prices on Intel, and we're at the top of the range for this high volume area, but we are above the point of control for the composite. You can even say for November and December that's positive, and we're looking for this thing to go test 25. Oracle, I think this is a name that you can still look at to get long. You see the little triangle pattern that we've formed since being at these levels. I think so long as price stays above this point of control level, this is a name that you can be long with, looking for a gap close, which is a pretty decent move to the upside. Okay, let's go into financials. This has been interesting. Let me get rid of these lines and keep it simple. We broke above, we basically, we had one dip below the value area low for December, and let's see, it ended up coming to October's point of control, bounced pretty nicely. You can see the nice volume right here. So it bounced, and let's face it, the market has rejected those levels. Now, is it the right time to be buying? No, look at this high volume. We have a lot of potential resistance at, what, 1 or 2% higher than us, than current prices right now. I think it's something that, if you haven't bought financials, if you didn't buy yesterday or the day before, or even maybe Monday, you're late to this party, just like a lot of names. So let's look at some financials, and if I can type it in. JP Morgan, we're at the top end of the range. We have November's point of control. We got this 33, 33.75, 34 level. It's been resistance, and I can even go back to November. You can see, we had one pop above it and then immediate gap down, resistance at 33.75, close enough. We had two pops above it in December. Since then, we've been below it, so we're definitely at the top end of the range, and I don't think it's necessary to pile in. I think you can get it on some weakness, but I think that weakness should be, looked at as a buying opportunity. So Wells Fargo, not quite at the highs, but I guess you could make a pretty good case for an inverse head and shoulders. You have the left shoulder, you have the head, you have the right shoulder, and the measured move would be from, call it 23.25 up to 27.25. So that's $4 of potential upside. That'll put you around $31, $32, around there. That's your target. But this looks pretty good. I would look to be a buyer of this name right below 27, probably around, if I can, 26.75 or so. So, and the name that's performing the strongest by far is USB. We had a balance range in December, and we're just breaking out from those levels. Look, you can see we broke out, tested the point of control, successfully bounced, and seeing follow through. So USB, I mean, unfortunately, you've missed the move if you haven't been in it, but it's been one nice move. All right, oil. This was our sector spotlight over the weekend. Performed well today, up over 1%. The XLE. We were looking at this name. Let's see, Friday, this day. We had one more additional down day. Since then, that Tuesday we gapped above, held the point of control very nicely, continued to move higher. Our target remains the 70-50 area or so on XLE. And some names that we've been talking about, ConocoPhillips, this name we were talking about getting long at these levels down here. We did successfully. This was the point of control, I believe, and it shifted there today towards the end of the day. But we've seen a nice bounce. So long as we hold the 71.40 level or so, I think this is a name that you want to be long, stay long, with a test up at the top of this range. But I think, look to take half your profits maybe if it drops below 71.40, just to take some risk out. ExxonMobil, this thing's gone. We had balance in December, holding November's point of control, seeing a successful rally off of, out of this balance area. And it's so much easier to visualize the market when looking at volume profile. And I hope this is helping you, because I know when I first started trading, it was helping me a lot. And don't get me wrong, still helps me, still use it to this. I could not trade without it. It would be insane. But Ford, we're getting a bounce. And what I find interesting is the point of control for the composite is at the lower end of these levels. And I bought 10.27 or so on Ford. And, obviously being rewarded nicely. But we're at some resistance, and I'm watching this 11.11 level. See if it will become point of control. If it does, I want to see Ford stay above those levels, really above 11.30 or so, close above that level. That will keep me very positive on Ford. If not, just like all the other names, got to look into locks and profits. Walter Energy, last name I'm going to cover. I think this is not necessarily a speculative play. It's a really positive name. It has good exposure to China. But what I'm seeing here is, well, maybe a potential bottoming pattern. We have a double bottom short term in December. I just connected the lows here. That's not really a trend line, but we do have some definitely some resistance at this upside trend line. But what I like is we're at December's point of control. We want to see this thing hold 62 to the maximum on the downside, really 62.50 or so. We want to see those levels hold. But if we get going, this could go from 63 up to 67 in no time, which is a pretty decent move. But what I'm really looking at, there's really no volume right here. And the most volume we have, from 64 to 75 is one level at 66. And from there, it looks like this thing could go to 75, really 71 to 78, call it. That would be a profit zone that you'd look to take some profits. But this name, I think, you wait for it. If it continues higher tomorrow, buy 1/4 of a position, but expect this thing to come back and test 62.50 or so. And I think that's the level that you really want to be watching this name. But really, a move from 65 up to 75 isn't a bad move. And this is a very volatile name, so it should help the cause. So anyways, I hope this helps. This is going into the holidays. I continued to talk about a rally, and we were talking about buying the weakness we saw last week. It was, we're being rewarded for that. And I think going into the weekend, go ahead, lock in some profits. Consider it a Christmas present or a Hanukkah gift, whatever. But it's important to realize that we haven't officially broken out, but we look like we're on the verge to. And it could be a good move up to 1300, 1340, or it could be a fake out and we could fail at these levels up here. So be prudent and realize that there is probably a likelihood that we're going higher. A lot of names are working, and that's what we want to be a part of. So anyways, I'll see you. I'm going to do a short weekend update on Saturday, just so you guys have something to watch it if you care to. If not, happy holidays, and I'll see you next week.